Hello and welcome to the inaugural podcast for Everything Boats with Captain Frank Lanier, where we'll be discussing boats and boating, from maintenance and repairs to seamanship and safety, as well as everything in between. This podcast is a companion to my YouTube channel of the same name, so if you like and find it useful, be sure to subscribe and please check out my YouTube channel as well, where you'll find hundreds of informative videos on pretty much every boating topic imaginable. Today's topic is Boat Buying 101, where we'll discuss what a buyer can and should expect throughout the entire boat buying process. The basic steps for buying a boat sound pretty simple. Find the boat, fall in love, buy the boat, then sail off into sunset in search of paradise and those drinks with the little umbrellas in them. Things tend to be a little more complex in reality, however, particularly as the days of purchasing a boat on a handshake and your word are long gone. In addition to the owner, today's buyer can expect to deal with yacht brokers, marine surveyors, bankers, underwriters, lawyers, as well as plenty of paperwork, purchase contracts, survey reports, documentation requirements, and the like. Even the simplest deal will typically involve at least three people: the owner, a yacht broker, and a marine surveyor. In this discussion, we're going to be looking at the key elements of a basic boat purchase and what you as the buyer can and should expect from the various people involved. Although our example here focuses on buying a used boat, much of it can be applied to new vessel purchases as well. In a typical boat buying scenario, the buyer makes an offer to the owner via the broker in the form of a purchase contract, a document that formally conveys the proposed terms of sale, the amount offered by the buyer, conditions of acceptance, closing dates, etc. The purchase offer is normally accompanied by a good faith deposit, typically 10% of the sale price, which is then placed in a bank trust fund or escrow account administered by the broker. After the purchase contract is received and reviewed, the seller either accepts it, rejects it, or proposes a counteroffer. Once signed by both parties, the purchase agreement becomes a legally binding contract between buyer and seller. As with any business transaction, the cardinal rule is to get everything in writing: payment terms, accessories that convey with the boat, obligations agreed to between the buyer and the seller, as well as when they'll be fulfilled, should all be in there. The purchase agreement is a broker drafted document that should reflect what the buyer wants to communicate. In other words, don't be afraid to insist that it be modified to include the terms you want or exclude stipulations you don't prior to submission to the owner. A key example of this would be inclusion of language stating that the sale of the vessel is contingent upon the findings of a marine survey. With this, the purchase contract now additionally serves as a safety net for the buyer, allowing him or her to cancel the deal without penalty should serious defects be found during the survey, or the ability to renegotiate the selling price with regards to the correction of less serious problems. Finding the right broker. When called to discuss a boat listing, a professional broker will listen closely to the potential buyer to help determine if the boat they're calling about is the best value to meet their wants and needs. The broker should also objectively describe the condition of each vessel beforehand to help the buyer decide if it's worth a look, and to provide amplifying information such as the vessel's history, outfitting, how long it's been on the market, and how motivated the seller may be to make a deal. Professional brokers will additionally assist with the required paperwork to make the sale as efficient and painless as possible, from the initial purchase offer to the bill of sale, as well as registration or documentation and titling, taxes, certificates of ownership, etc. They'll also manage the escrow account, which helps both buyer and seller avoid potential problems that may occur in the private sales, such as the buyer fails to honor the offer and deposit, or the owner absconds with the funds prior to sale. It's important, however, for the buyer to keep their relationship with the broker in perspective. Yacht brokers are essentially the marine equivalent of a real estate agent in that the boat owners hire them to list, represent, and sell their property. Like real estate agents, they also work on commission, meaning that while they have a duty to both buyer and seller during any transaction, it should never be forgotten that they work for and are paid by the seller to make the deal happen. Buyers also have the option of retaining a broker to represent their interests while helping to locate and purchase a vessel. Good ones not only step you through the entire boat buying process, but also help determine and find the type of boat that best suits your needs, assist with financing, and help negotiate a contract with the seller's broker once a boat is found. The Marine Survey. Once the purchase offer is accepted and agreed to by both parties, the next step is having the vessel surveyed by a competent marine surveyor. Inexperienced buyers may view a marine survey as just one more red taped festooned hoop they're forced to jump through to purchase or insure the boat of their dreams. But in reality, the money spent for a good marine survey is the best investment they'll ever make when purchasing a vessel. Blisters, delamination, and rot are just a few examples of what can be hidden beneath that new paint job or shiny coat of varnish. A competent marine surveyor can ferret out such issues before they become the buyer's problem, often saving them potentially thousands of dollars in repair costs, while subsequently paying for the cost of the marine survey many times over. Finally, if the vessel being purchased will be financed or insured, a survey will almost certainly always be required by the bank, underwriter, or both in many cases. As such, it only makes sense to have the survey conducted prior to purchase. At least then the buyer has the option of negotiating repairs and such with the owner or finding a better boat. A pre-purchase condition and value survey, or C&V survey, is likely the most comprehensive inspection a vessel will ever receive. A typical C&V survey includes examination of the vessel's structural integrity, electrical system, electronics, propulsion system, fuel system, machinery, installations, navigation, and other miscellaneous onboard systems, as well as examination of the vessel's papers, registration, hull number, and all safety equipment. The haul-out portion of the survey includes an inspection of the hull and all underwater machinery, props, shafts, rudders, etc., while the sea trial provides the surveyor valuable insight on how the vessel and her systems operate and interact in the real world. Each survey report will include a recommendations section listing deficiencies and problems noted during the survey. Coupled with the personal observations of an experienced surveyor, the findings of a C&V survey are an excellent tool to aid the buyer in assessing whether the vessel meets their particular needs. What the surveyor won't say, however, is whether or not you should purchase the boat. The surveyor's role is to provide an unbiased expert analysis of the vessel's condition to assist the buyer in making an informed decision on whether or not to proceed with the purchase. Finding a marine surveyor. It's the buyer's responsibility to research and select the best surveyor to represent their interest. The best recommendation for a marine surveyor is reputation and word of mouth. However, even then, you'll want to research each possible choice to ensure you select the most qualified surveyor to inspect your particular vessel. Even highly competent surveyors can have different backgrounds or specialities. If you're buying a racing sailboat, for example, you probably don't want to use a surveyor whose primary experience or field of expertise deals with commercial fishing vessels. While marine surveyors are not licensed by any state or federal agency, they can be accredited or certified by certain membership organizations. A good place to start your search for a reputable surveyor is by contacting the Society of Accredited Marine Surveyors, SAMS, or the National Association of Marine Surveyors, NAMS, and obtaining a list of member surveyors in your area. Some banks or insurance companies may provide a list of surveyors they accept, but you'll still want to research the qualifications of any surveyor prior to hiring them. Brokers may also supply a list of recommended surveyors. In most cases, this is provided in a good faith effort to help the buyer find the right surveyor. However, be aware that in some cases, surveyors may be listed because the broker has found them easier to work with, in that they may be a little more lenient when surveying a vessel. In any event, you'll want an independent surveyor whose only interest in the vessel is to provide you, the buyer, the best survey possible. Research any surveyor thoroughly, regardless of whatever list they're on, and make your own decision based on the results. What to expect? Buyer expenses to this point typically include the surveyor's fee and cost of the haul out, which normally takes place at a yard chosen by the owner. The owner in return is normally responsible for transporting the vessel to and from the haul out facility, as well as any costs associated with the sea trial, vessel captain, fuel, anything related to the sea trial. The broker will orchestrate the survey, haul out, and sea trial in efforts to ensure each goes smoothly. However, it's a good idea for the buyer to be present during all phases of the survey. This provides the opportunity to observe firsthand the surveyor's inspection of the vessel, as well as ask any questions that may come up during the survey. That being said, buyers should refrain from bringing anyone who does not have a direct interest in the purchase. These include friends, relatives, small children, pets, any of these, as they can cause unnecessary distractions during the survey. Finally, if a potential surveyor refuses to allow clients to accompany them during the survey, find another one. You are paying for the survey after all, and you should be able to observe all phases of it if desired.